Peace, love, light, and transcendence. Moon Talk. Today, I wanted to speak on the educational system worldwide and as a collective, why we can see and feel our confusion as a worldwide, how confused and mentally imprisoned we are as a reality based on the educational system and the way that we as a nation go about educating each other, especially the young, which is our future, because they continue on each generation. So obviously, as we see in this reality, each nation, whatever country, whatever state you go into, they have their school, the youth, the young. When you're born, you go into, and then you grow as an adult, and you further your education. One of the biggest things that is negatively impacting our reality right now is the fact that you have other nations going to other nations for their education or their way of life or just their state of being, because also education is tied to culture. So if you're learning someone's education, you're definitely learning their culture and their way of life or living. So definitely one thing that I see and experience and notice is definitely negatively impacting our reality and our transcendence in general is you have other nations. For example, you have Africans or dark-skinned people going to like Caucasian or other nations for their schooling or to get educated, when in reality you should be going to for example, any highly melanated child, an African child, a black child, an African American child, any child that has dark skin, even if you're considered black in this reality, you need to be going to a school that is designated or is designed for black people and African Americans. Same thing if you're Caucasian, go to a school that is designated for Caucasians. If you're Asian, for Asians. Why? Because culture is tied to education. Way of life is tied to education. So if you are someone that is an African or black or whatever, and you're going to a Caucasian school and you're being taught, for example, that Christopher Columbus discovered America and all these lies that you're realizing, wow, it's not true. If we would have gone to African American schools or schools that was created for our nation with our culture and our history, we wouldn't be finding ourselves in situations as a world, as a collective, where you have all dark-skinned people feeling that they are, for example, inferior, or feeling like Caucasians discovered everything, or just learning things that is just it's just not real. Even their form of nature, how nature is viewed depending on what nation you're in, is going to be different. So you can't be an African child going to a Caucasian school and then expecting to view nature as your indigenous ancestors, or expecting to live or experience life like your indigenous ancestors, when you haven't even learned half the things that what you as a being, your nation being, needs to learn. So definitely we need to focus and critically think about the educational process in our existence and how it is lowering and negatively impacting the development and the transcendence of us as a collective, because there's no reason why a Caucasian child should be getting educated in an African school, and there's no reason why an African child should be getting educated in a Caucasian school. It doesn't make sense. Critically, just being natural without any emotions involved, it really just doesn't make sense. And you can't even blame that child for being confused or not knowing anything about who they are, where they come from, or you can't even really blame them for how they're acting, because look at how you've conditioned them. They're not even one themselves. They don't even know who they are. So yeah, I was gonna add another thought onto this, but let's just keep it on this and focus on the educational system and how negatively it's impacting us, because we're not using our culture and we're not being real about it, critical about it. We're just being emotional, like, oh, we should all just be one and educate together. It's destroying us. Okay, so let's be real. Let's face the truth, and let's realize that as a black child, there's no reason for you to be going into a Caucasian school and expecting to be a high being mentally, especially when you're like just the science and the biology of us as beings. It's like it just doesn't make sense why I would go to. It would be like me stepping down, you know, because where the melanated, like our mental consciousness is at, is nowhere near any other nation. Let's just be real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's just be real. So if I'm learning anything that's not highly melanated or African based, I just need to understand that I'm just lowering my intelligence, and I'm just like putting myself in a situation where I'm just gonna be a low being, you know? So let's just, without emotions, just really, really think about this, you know? So we can take steps to move forward as a like nation, as a culture, as a reality. Peace, love, and light. Healing Moon World for more holistic, higher consciousness discussions.